conservatives is like something that people are really upset about. Like when Doom Eternal was getting launched, and they had the trailer and stuff, conservative channels about video games constantly, like the quartering and all these other dumb fucks, they were coming out with this. Oh, the left is so mad about the trailer, and there's no there's no SJW nonsense in this game, and the only thing is like two people on Twitter that got like 6 likes apiece were like, I'm not so sure about that mortally challenged joke. Seems a little bad to me, but outside of that, the game looks fucking great.
Obviously, if you have the proof that our game bricked your graphics card, because that's what it's been doing to 3090s.
Amazon responds after reports its MMO New World is bricking pricey RTX 3090 cards.
When I come back from vacation, it's either me or her. One of us has got to go.
Yeah, and they can't afford they can't lose him. Hell no.
If they lose him, bro, the place is going downhill. Those cooks can't keep up.
So, welcome to the community, bro.
I bet.
Alright, you have a good night, man.
Another thing, we should play Valorant sometime.
I would have to get it, but yes, I agree.
For an appetizer. Wild.
$22 for an appetizer is absolutely insane. But as far as like corrupt workplace environments and stuff, I mean, I can completely understand, and there's not a whole lot that can be done right now outside of either unionization or trying to collectively with the other workers become partial owners of the workplace so that your voice is actually heard. A strike can work, stuff like that, but you have to be able to get all the people on board. And I know that with people having not as much income and having to take care of a lot of the stuff around their own house and stuff, it becomes really difficult to organize a strike because people aren't getting paid, and it hurts their pocket.
Me and my dad have been talking to boss lady about getting rid of her, and she said she probably won't be there much longer. So
yeah, I mean, and with this way your dad has there, that's good, but your dad also has the ability to push for more, like way more.
We'll see. He told boss lady a specific decision that she's gonna have to make after his vacation. He said, when I come back from vacation, it's either me or her. One of us has got to go.
Yeah, and they can't afford they can't lose him. Hell no.
If they lose him, bro, the place is going downhill. Those cooks can't keep up.
No.
They just can't.
No, there's Michael is probably the only other person there.
He'll be back this week though.
Yeah.
So
Michael can keep up and Eric can keep up. And I mean that's it.
And I'm like, so basically that means that she's gonna get rid of her, and I'm like, yes.
They'll definitely improve the environment a bit, but it will not improve the underlying.
It won't bring back the waitresses we already lost though.
Nope, and it won't stop the underlying motives that they have for doing that kind of transaction, bringing in people that they know are just going to cause a lot of problems. It runs off good employees, and because it's Mike making all the decisions right now, it's not the actual owners of the business. It's other people.
I think he just doesn't care, honestly.
He doesn't. He's too focused on trying to financially balance out all this stuff. He's trying to do too much himself instead of what would happen if everybody collectively owned the place, the way that it should happen with all businesses, is all of you would be looking at financials and deciding pay rates for everybody and doing like setting aside how much you need for repairs and shit like that, and you'd be making these kinds of decisions as groups.
And
instead of them
after
just going,
Gigi,
hey, here,
after said lady set me up the other day, I think that was like the final straw for my dad, because she literally tried to set me up, and then whenever I got mad about it and went to put silverware up because that dishwasher came in and she started yelling at me, and Gigi told everybody in the room to shut the F up, and I'm like, and my dad said that's not very manager like. And I'm like, it's kind of facts. You're not supposed to talk to your employees like that.
Yeah. You're really not.
You can tell me to keep my mouth shut, but you're not going to tell me to shut the F up. There ain't no way. And I think I think we've kind of, me and Charles have figured out why she's still here. Two reasons. One, they want Terry.
But he's not good.
He's, I mean, Terry, he can throw down
I'm actually
pretty
gonna.
pretty decently.
I'm adding you as a friend on there.
He's been working weekends with my dad. My dad prefers having him in the mornings because he can actually keep up with a Sunday.
Well, okay, he can keep up making the food, but the quality of the food he's putting out, from my experience, unless he's not coming in as fucking sloppy as he usually is,
No, he's been a little better since he's been back.
that's definitely a good thing. Because I had him make me a burger once, and there was so much mustard on it, it was like epic hack, like it was
Yeah,
leaking out
he's
the
a little
sides
better
and
now.
shit.
He's not as high
It,
at work.
that's good. Because I mean, come on, if you're not functioning like this. So I'm link dumping you some stuff, but these are abstracts of worker cooperatives, which is a system of running your business the way I was describing, where everybody owns the place that they work at, and you collectively make decisions. Like if you just wanted to stay, for example, if you all owned the place and you just wanted to stay as a dishwasher, but you wanted to make sure that the pay rates were more fair for everybody, then you'd be able to do that. People could still be managed, quote unquote manager is in directing the flow of operation and shit like that. That's all stuff that is possible under a worker cooperative system. And on every link that I have been able to find, if you look at the conclusions, it states that worker cooperatives are just as productive, if not more productive, than regular uh, traditionally owned businesses, as well as the workers are happier there and they tend to stay longer.
Hmm.
Plus, they're more resistant to price shocks and all the other bullshit that comes with businesses. Like with COVID and stuff, worker cooperatives, because of how they were doing their business and sourcing and all of that, they were able to keep their prices relatively low compared to what other businesses have had to shoot up. Like my job shooting up the prices of ribeyes and stuff, and then your job having to
Well, I
shoot up the
mean,
prices of
well,
ribeyes and
meats is
stuff.
usually, meats has been an issue for the past like year or so. So
Yeah, but under cooperatives, like at farmers markets, if you go, it's not as bad. There's still a bit of a price increase, but it's not nearly as bad.
but they want to keep him, right?
Yeah,
And then the other thing is, me and Charles also think there's a little under the table stuff going on
probably.
because I'm thinking the house next door is still for them.
Well, the house next door is not for the two we've been talking about. The house next door is actually owned currently.
Who bought it though is the question because they've been remodeling it.
Well, it's still, if I'm unless I'm missing out on some huge bit of information, that's still Jeff.
Oh no, they moved out
Oh, I did not know that.
long time ago. Yeah,
I did not know that. I didn't
because
see or hear
Charles
anything
has been
about it.
trying to buy that house because he needs to get out of that little shack.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm thinking maybe she came in and maybe she owes Miss Sharon some money.
yeah, that could be a deal. I'm not entirely sure, but as it stands, yeah, like I said, just look over the papers that I've sent you so far.
I was reading that PDF document.
Yeah, there's 3 links there. I can pull up more. Like, oh wait, that's the one I just closed because it doesn't actually have the actual thing. And then there's news articles that I've found about it. Beep, beep,
Honestly,
beep.
this would fix a lot of problems, but obviously they're too stubborn for their own good. So
Yeah, well, part of it is people want to think that it's going to make them more money doing it this way, but honestly, if you are doing a kind of profit sharing thing, you're able to generate more profit because the workers are putting in more, and so yes, you're splitting more of the percentage with the workers. But if you're generating more and more profit than you were previously, you're going to make more money overall. There's a whole deal about it, and then that wouldn't have led to stupid decisions like signing a contract with Cisco for measly amount of money and then having all your prices jacked and them screwing the contract 3 or 4 times. And
And it's also not profitable that the waitresses are leaving over it, because if those waitresses leave, they're favored by the older customers and they'll follow wherever they go.
And also, you have to spend the money to train new waitresses and get them ready to go out on the floor, and you're going to have to expect some food losses because they're not entirely sure what's going on, or things are going to get messed up with them delivering food to the wrong place.
And a lot of the time nowadays, the waitresses don't even know what they're doing at all, and
Yeah,
they don't make it very long.
so it becomes a problem with turnover rates being not nearly as profitable, and if you're having to deal with your staff leaving constantly, you're having to pay more money training new staff. You're having to pay more money replacing dishes, food, uniforms, pretty much everything, as well as your normal maintenance and shit like that. It puts more stress on the person who owns the business, and also puts stress on the staff who actually tries to stay to keep the place running properly, because they have to deal with all these new people constantly floating in and out, trying to remember their name and trying to treat them well, and possibly having contentions with new people, and it becomes a huge fucking issue.
Yeah, it's just a mess of a place right now.
Most places, as far as I'm coming across, that are privately owned like that are kind of messes. Which is why unionization was such a big deal. So, a little bit of a history lesson. Back in the 1910s and early 20s and stuff, the the country didn't have we didn't have a minimum wage. We had child labor that was being paid pennies per hour, and the parents were getting paid barely more than that. People were living in poverty, and we had essentially this pretty much the same distribution of wealth that we have today, with people like me working and making $20,000 a year, and then people like Jeff Bezos making $2.5 million an hour.
Yeah, and what was it? Jeff Bezos is the one that's like, isn't he the one that's disappearing off the face of the planet?
He took a trip to space for 11 minutes. In his speech before he took off, he said, "I want to thank the taxpayers and the Amazon workers for making this possible for me, because this is a fundamental thing about our economic system. Capitalism, which is what we live under, is inherently exploitative. You work, right? You put forth labor, which your labor generates value, which you do not get paid anywhere near the proportion of value that you added to the business you are working for. They are taking
Yeah,
that value
yeah.
and extracting it for themselves, which is why back in the early teens and 20s, 1910s, 1920s area, you had anarchists and communists forming labor unions for collective bargaining. This allowed people to increase their wages and their uh, benefits and all of that shit to at least a decent level. And now there was a issue because they were still, like, back then they were still pretty fucking racist, so they kept black people and other minorities out. But the ones that didn't actually saw more longevity. And then, because of their ground pressures from the unions and from the individual communist and anarchist and social democrat activists and stuff pushing on the ground, they were able to, in the 1930s, get FDR to come up with the New Deal. They signed the New Deal, which was it added a minimum wage, and the purpose of the minimum wage, when it was signed into law, was that any person who works 40 hours a week could be able to raise a family of 4, maintain their home, have money for a couple of vacations a year, and to have money set aside in their bank account. That is
And
what you were
nowadays,
supposed
minimum
to do.
wage is barely livable.
It's not even livable. $7.25 an hour. Nowhere in the country can you live on that. By yourself? Fuck no. And Yikes Factory, how's the anarchy business? Anarchy's actually, it's a process that you have to prepare people for. You have to educate people on how anarchy actually works. It's not this huge, like, chaos and fire and brimstone shit that people seem to think it is, but it's all about destructuring unjust and coercive hierarchies that you just don't think are necessary. Like, you don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're trying to do some sort of little weird gotcha there, Yikes Factory, or some sort of snide comment, you can go fuck off.
Right.
But yeah, so the anarchists and the communists are really what have gotten us the minimum wage and weekends and vacation time. And ever since the death of FDR from about the late 1940s up to the 1980s is when it really solidified under Reagan. You had a major swing in the other direction with privatization and corporate control. You had three different laws passed that one of them made it to where any benefits that unions fought for had to apply to all employees, regardless of if they were part of the union or not, which weakened union membership, which allowed people to not actually have the need to join the union. So people didn't join unions, and so they stopped losing the ability to do collective bargaining because they didn't have high enough participation rate. So about owning my
Mm-hmm.
own business. I don't own a business. I run a fucking Twitch and YouTube channel, but that's about it. I also work for another person. Yikes Factory.
Hmm.
Uh, so without these kinds of power structures for workers, we had like the Taft-Hartley Act, which did the thing I just described with benefits applying to all work people that work at a place. And then you also had two other ones, one of which was actually Citizens United in 2008, but they structured a set of laws to where it allowed for legalized bribery of politicians. So that's why we have the
Even
political
though they
system
make
we
plenty
have
of
now.
money already.
Yeah, well, the actual salaries of politicians, if you actually look up salary of House members. Senators and House representatives of the United States Congress are supposed to make $174,000 a year. Resident commissioner from Puerto Rico is also supposed to make that much. The president pro tempore of the Senate is supposed to make $193,000 a year. Same with the majority and minority leaders of the Senate. Okay, hold on.
I guarantee
Here
you
we
they
go.
make way more than that, but
The president's supposed to make 400,000. The vice president's supposed to make 255,800, and then yeah, Speaker of the House is supposed to make 223,500, and then everybody else is supposed to make in the $174 to $193,000 range. Now they do actually make more than that. They get a per diem as well, so that they get a small amount of money that they're allowed to spend per day. I think it's like $160. My life's not too bad actually. I just as the stream title says, I cleaned my room fully to be able to reorganize it and everything. Got my desk set up as a standing desk instead of a sitting desk. I got my new lights set up so that you can see as they call it in the debate bro community. I've got these bisexual lights, is what they call them, because they're red and blue. So they're pretty sweet, you know. Things are going pretty good. I hope your life is going all right too, Yikes Factory. Man,
so just read this thing. Sony pulled the plug on some new games, and then they're bringing back an old game that was supposed to be canceled.
oh yeah.
Tormented Souls.
Ooh, drop link, please.
Let's see if I can find it. What was it? PC? Was it PC Gamer?
I do appreciate you tuning in, Yikes Factory. Sorry if I sounded a little mad earlier. When I get really excited and I'm having conversations, sometimes it comes off as me being angry. So keep that in mind
Where is it?
before you ask. Yes, I am mildly autistic.
Let me. It was a comic book, right? Let me pull it up on my computer. Give me a second.
All right. Oh, are you on a phone or something right now?
I was on my phone when I found it.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm on Discord on the PC though. Because once we're done here, I'm actually gonna start. I'm gonna stream my part 2 of Ratchet and Clank.
Oh fuck yeah! After I get done here, I need to switch my laundry and
So you
take a
can come
shower.
watch if you can watch if you want. I'll be live for a good couple hours because I'm kind of just trying to space it out, you know.
Yeah, I'll probably throw it up on my phone. Listen to it while I shower and switch my laundry and
So
shit.
far, I have to admit, game is very beautiful, really well done.
Man, okay, so there's a game that I'm looking at getting for PC when it comes out, or maybe trying to get that, trying to pre-order it or whatever. It's only like $30, but it's called New World.
Ah, yes, actually, I signed up for the beta for that game, but be careful if you have a 3090 or anything in your shit, don't break it.
I do not. I have RX 570.
All right, you'll be fine. Just don't push it past high
No, no, I'm gonna keep it at like medium graphics because
because
I
they're
want to stream it.
Amazon. Well, just so you know, any music in the game is completely fine. By the way,
Oh, sweet.
because that game is made by Amazon, and Amazon owns Twitch.
Yep, yep. So they wanted to make sure it could be streamed, and so they did all the
So so
yeah.
anything in that game is completely DMCA free.
That's fucking sweet. I
The
need
only thing you gotta watch out for is the game has proximity chat. So people, clearly,
if fuck people. It'll be okay.
because they're gonna drop slurs, and here is that link that you wanted right there.
Oh,
Go.
it is in the Discord. All right, sweet shit. Let me just open it.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
Tormented
Open
Souls.
it. Let's pull this over to the screen where people can see and go to that. All right, so canceled PS4 and Xbox One game back from the grave following backlash. Okay, so back in February, the game was canceled. Notable backlash. Re-announced PS4 and Xbox One. Dual effect. I'm sure. Announced the PS5, Xbox Series X, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Tormented Souls will release on PS4 and Xbox One sometimes. Okay, so it'll go to all the other things, but it'll also release on PS4 and Xbox One when it drops sometime this year. Tormented Souls first and next, aforementioned trio back in 2020. Okay, so they were going to. So they canceled the other games that they were going to put out. So what game did they? What are the games that they canceled?
Tormented Souls was one of them.
Oh, okay.
I didn't read
I
the
thought
full
you were
art.
saying that they canceled development of some other games and instead put this one in, but they're actually just dropping this as well.
Yeah, they stripped some games from the store.
Oh, okay, okay. That's
Yeah.
probably not too big a
Because
deal
they
if
read,
it is.
I think, because if I was read it right, they lost the rights to some of the stuff in the games, so they just kind of pulled them.
Yeah, that makes sense. But hey, the fact that community see, okay, this right here shows that ground pressure works, and this is why when discussing, sorry, I have to bring it to this, but this is what my stream usually is. But when discussing political strategy, you have to understand that if you want people in like positions of power to do what you want them to do, you have to get as many people as you possibly can on your side and push in the same direction. You can have a disagreement a mile and a half down the road, but as long as you're working on something that is good, that you can all agree on the strategy for up front, you can pull in that direction and get shit done. So keep that in mind, everybody.
I was saying Tormented Souls was a game that was, heavily frowned upon by certain people because of, I guess, offensive things in the game, and I'm like, it's a video game. At the end of the day, calm down.
There is some things in video games that have legit reasons for people to be upset about, but I mean,
Which I see, but a lot of those games don't exist nowadays because the games that are really bad have been completely stripped from any store.
yeah, pretty much. Like, okay, so some of the things get blown up by conservatives is like something that people are really upset about. Like back when Doom Eternal was getting launched, and they had the trailer and stuff. Conservative channels about video games constantly, like the Quartering and all these other dumb fucks, they were coming out with this. Oh, the left is so mad about the trailer, and there's no there's no SJW nonsense in this game. And the only thing is like 2 people on Twitter that got like 6 likes apiece were like, I'm not so sure about that mortally challenged joke. Seems a little bad to me, but outside of that, the game looks fucking great. And
Yeah, it was a fun game too.
yeah, and they're trying to like pull up this big ass fucking culture war narrative about the SJWs are so fucking mad about the trailer for Doom Eternal, and they're just like, no, the game looks fun. This joke was just kind of poor, I think. So
Ooh.
people aren't getting as upset in the Cuphead thing. People are just pointing out like, hey, don't you know where this art style originally comes from, right? And some of these callbacks are, they're a little weird. And
Yeah, but it was
yeah,
meant to be a game that was it was supposed to be a bullet hell game that was just
well,
really hard and really
well,
fun.
they were talking about the
So
art style specifically, and so when that was brought up, when the people who developed the game and chose the art style and shit came out and were like, we acknowledged that there were some problematic things back then, but some of these old cartoons are huge successes, and the art style itself
the
is
art style of
pretty
that game
good.
itself was awesome.
And so they were just like, yeah, we just liked the art style. We don't want to like gloss over the offensive themes that
Because
from
if
the
you went
era.
back and
And
watched them making the game, a lot of the scenes in the boss fights were actually hand drawn.
yeah, and then
So
literally once the developers came out and explained what they were going for, nobody had fucking problems. Once they were like, yeah, this is what we're here for. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna check out this trailer real quick. Oh, it's fucking 20 minutes of gameplay. I just want to see what's going on. I'm gonna click through it. Oh, okay, so this is what is that? Not Last of Us, Until Dawn style kind of thing going on. Really graphic.
so
She's dead.
that's interesting though. You can play Halo next weekend, the new one,
No shit.
a technical alpha
Recording my progress might be used
It
for
actually,
multiplayer.
it actually looked like something I would be interested in trying out. I haven't liked a Halo game since 3.
It's different, new movement, new features, new everything. So I mean,
Yeah, so I'm interested in checking it out.
so yeah, it says next weekend they should be pushing out a technical alpha to stress test their multiplayer servers, and you can play it on PC and Xbox.
Sweet shit. So it's probably going to be on Steam, most likely. I'll have to check that out here in a little
Steam
bit.
or Xbox's store itself.
Yeah, which I don't know if I necessarily have the... You know what? I can just...
Oh, if you want to have a chance to be involved, you must sign up as a Halo Insider.
Aw.
It doesn't cost anything. It's free.
Yeah, I'll check it out later. I don't want to go through that kind of time now. But, yeah.
What? It says sign up as a Halo Insider, verify your email, opt in to communications and testing on your chosen platform, and if on PC, upload your Diag, whatever the fuck, and connect your personal Steam account. It is through Steam.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check that
It's
out here in a
just
little bit.
just to get the link to play the game, you gotta sign up as an insider, and they'll email it to you.
Okay, that's not too bad. I'd probably check that out. Shit.
No, I wasn't expecting to see that you could play a Halo Infinite like literally already.
I know, right? But if it's an alpha stress tester thing, then it's probably gonna be super buggy and crashy. But I will still give it a fucking shot, because you know what? That's what this channel's about, is playing video games and talking politics and random other shit. I do whatever I want on here, honestly.
So, speaking of that game you were talking about, New World,
Yep.
right? Amazon issued a statement yesterday about it with their problem. So it is the 3090 series specifically. 3060s and 70s are okay, but it's the 3090s and the highest end like RTX 3090 whatever it is with ray tracing and all that fancy shit.
Hold on, Amazon respond. Turn off my ad blocker. Final.
They issued a thing saying that if you have obviously if you have the proof that our game bricked your graphics card, because that's what it's been doing to 3090s.
Amazon responds after reports its MMO New World is bricking pricey RTX 3090 cards.
Yep,
Update
and
dev
they said
issues
that they will
patch to cap
replace
frame rate
every.
on menu screen, so they can actually. Okay, they will. They're making it where you can keep your 3090 and cap your frame rate, but yeah, it looks like.
They said they will replace anybody who can prove that their game broke your shit. They will replace your 3090.
New World closed beta is safe to play. In order to further reassure players, we will implement a patch today.
Yeah, the update was it caps it at 60 now. You can no longer go farther. And I
yep, they are absolutely, well, for a while Amazon remained silent on the issue, but they are now acknowledging it can cause 100% GPU usage on EVGA RTX 3090 graphics, pointing the finger to blame it driver settings and frame rate limiters. Okay. Rep offered two solutions, suggesting they disable overrides in their card's driver settings and cap their frame rates to 60 in the visual settings before restarting the game client. Yep. Okay. So they are gonna replace some, because there's a couple hundred that need to be replaced, and so that's gonna actually take a hit to their fucking profits. But you know what? It'll keep people playing, and people who have issues will be like, oh, okay, so the game's not completely worth not playing because it bricked my fucking card. They replaced it.
But they did issue the patch in the game that forces the game to be locked at 60 anyway, no matter what.
Yeah. So I mean, that honestly that can be fine because sometimes like most games you don't need more than that.
Yeah, but that game specifically has such a high like graphic quality that I'm like, no wonder it fried it. You're trying to load too much.
Yeah. And with the overrides in your graphics card settings, it can force things beyond what it should appear at, so you do need to disable that. But
And I'm like, and somebody made a very valid point. They were like, Amazon has a game company and they've made absolute shit for games, and then New World comes out and they said it actually looks good. It's
yeah,
their first really good game.
that's all they've been putting all their effort into developing it behind the scenes.
And I'm actually glad about that. At least a game company took the time to make an MMO that is different, for one, stands out.
Yeah.
And two, looks great.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, I've tried so many different MMOs. Like I've got, if on my screen, as you can see right here, I got fucking Neverwinter. I've got Conqueror's Blade. I've got this Pine game isn't an MMO, but I've got this Uncharted Waters game. I've got Cyberpunk, which is actually really fucking fun. Okay.
Cyberpunk's a fun game, but when it came out, it was a clusterfuck.
Yeah, but I didn't get it when it came out, and now I got it, and it's so much fucking fun. I've been playing some of it off stream, but I need to get back on it on stream, honestly.
Where are you going, Samurai?
But
Come back, Samurai.
fucking shit.
That game had so much controversy around it too. Like not like, but even before people realized it was absolute trash in the beginning.
Oh,
There were just the customization alone sparked controversy because like on Twitch, if you're trying to play that brand new game, they didn't tell you that it had that kind of nudity right out the gate.
yeah, no, they didn't. Well, they did tell you in teasers and stuff that you had a customizable penis function. Okay.
Yeah, but they didn't say that it wasn't going to be automatically blurred until you turn it off. They just said, "Bam, here you go, right in your face," and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Hey, you know what? I'm fine with this. Okay.
Hey, but Twitch didn't actually ban people over that, which I was a little shocked about.
Well, because they didn't give you enough actual like knowledge that it was going to be like, oh, here's actual fucking like, here's labial folds, clitoral hood, everything. You're just
I
like,
was
oh my
saying
God.
I wasn't expecting that kind of level of detail into the character customization either, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, because I knew about this before I started my stream, I went ahead and put on the censored mode because I stream this game, so I can't just walk around and have dicks
Which,
on my screen.
when it came out, they didn't actually get anybody for that, and they didn't tell you to turn it in blurred mode either. They didn't really care, but now it's like, now that it's been out a long time, I assume the rules have probably changed
Yeah,
just a little
once
bit.
they added in the filter functions and stuff, they made it, because that's one of the things Twitch and YouTube were like, come on guys, like really we need to have a function for this. People are going to want to stream this game, and we, as our rules state, we can't allow this on there, because I mean literally
Because it's technical nudity.
Yeah, children come on and look at this, and since you can fuck people in game,
It's definitely a game that's not for every audience.
yeah, it's not a Grand Theft Auto hooker pickup scene where the car rocks back and forth. No, you fuck people in game. Like, come on. It's more God of War style. The first God of War on the boat.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
That shit as a kid, like you're sitting there, you're just like, oh my God, I did not anticipate this.
It's just, man, I don't know. And plus, there's not really a lot of good games coming out right now either.
No.
Like, I think Sony for the PS5, I think their biggest game so far that they actually, can boast about is probably Ratchet and Clank.
Probably,
Honestly.
yeah.
Because it's their, one, it's literally specific to the PlayStation only. And 2, it is probably the one of, if not Spider-Man Miles Morales, the best graphical game that they have right now. Because it automatically turns ray tracing on, everything reflects the particles. There's so many particle effects everywhere. And it doesn't lag like Cold War does. When you turn on ray tracing on Cold War, it lags like crazy.
Yeah, that is actually a huge problem.
But this game doesn't do that, and I'm like, okay, I can get behind this.
Yeah, games are being developed for graphical technology that people can't actually fucking afford.
But in a PS5, if you can get one, at least it's a reasonable price if you get one for retail.
This is true.
But getting one for retail is also slim to impossible.
Yeah, the one thing I actually worry about there is if it's reasonably priced with all the precious metals that go into it, how much was the exploitation of the children forced to mine the fucking materials? Jesus Christ.
Because Sony issued a statement last night saying that the PS5 consoles will still be limited up to 2023 before you can find them in a store, because they just ran out of new parts.
Oh my god. So I guess
And
they're
I'm
trying to find more ethically sorted, because if it's this bad, it's not that we're running out of the materials, it's that they're trying to find more ethically sourced ways to get it.
Well, they ran out of a specific chip component again that goes into several different things that people need for like graphics cards and all this mess. So like obviously that splits into every category: the Xbox's side, the Sony side, the PC side. It's too much. All because they got greedy and said, "Oh yeah, you guys are in a pandemic. Let me release my console now."
Well, no, it's actually, okay, there is actually a chip shortage, and it's partly because of the pandemic, not because of people wanting to be greedy on it, but mostly because, there is a labor shortage. But also, Sony, if I remember reading right, Sony Ethic.
I mean, don't get me wrong, from a business standpoint, they made the best decision they possibly could to make the utmost money out of it. Wait till people were getting stimulus checks and then just throw out their console right in the middle of the pandemic.
Ooh, hey, this actually looks good.
But all things considered, I'm happy with the PS5, even though there's not much for it yet. I'm happy with it.
Oh,
it's a good,
okay.
well-built
Wow,
console.
Holy shit. Okay, so Sony is actually openly releasing their sustainability reports and sourcing reports, sustainability responsible supply chain, and they've actually, they are trying to find places where they can get these chips that aren't using child labor. That's part of the reason they are having such a hard time getting enough components.
Do we want more consoles, or do we want children to work their ass off? Or do we want less consoles, or do we want children to fucking die?
Yeah, that's pretty much
it.
Do we want to exploit and abuse children for their labor, or do we want to,
just slow down the consoles, make people wait?
Yeah. I mean, it's also a thing where they can force scarcity this way because they don't have as many people working to mine things because they're not exploiting children. So that's good. I'm totally willing for the price of my fucking commodities to go up if they're not exploiting children in the fucking global south, alright?
It's just when they upcharge up to like $1,000 per console, that's just kind of...
Yeah, that is some of that's the capitalist notion of profit over everything, but you know what, I'd rather a profit over everything except child exploitation mode be used than just a pure profit over everything mode.
The one thing I don't agree with is like when they do that upcharge stuff, like Walmart, even though they're supposed to sell it for retail, right?
Yeah.
And that Sony has the digital and the disc drive version of this console.
Yeah.
Walmart upcharged their fucking digital version from a $400 console to $1,100, and it didn't even come with an extra controller or a game.
Okay, well, Walmart can go fuck themselves. Well, of course, Walmart's a fucking... When it comes right down to it, Walmart became... Well, I've learned that Walmart's like the ultimate capitalist corporation. When it...
And I was looking at that and I was like, dude, it's a digital console that cost me $400. Like, bro, what?
Okay.
At least throw me a controller or something.
That's acceptable of a markup. I mean, $400 I'm perfectly fine with. It was like $380 for me to get a fucking PS4, so $400 for a PS5 is not that bad.
And honestly, what's in the PS5, they're losing money doing that, by the way.
Yeah, and plus they're trying to ethically source all their shit, so they're losing money.
Which I also understand why the disc drive version is an extra $100 because obviously that disc drive alone is going to cost you about $100 anyway.
Yeah, it's a Blu-ray player that they're still not cheap.
And it can run 4K DVDs and everything in it if you have a 4K Blu-ray.
4K player. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 4K Blu-ray, so yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. As long as you have a 4K monitor or whatever, you can run.
But either way, they're still losing money. Even at $500, they're losing money.
Mm-hmm. They'd be losing. Well, they'd only break even at about $650 probably.
Because if I read it right, the graphics cards in these new consoles, the Series X and the PS5s, is the equivalent to a 3060, I think. As of right now.
2070.
2070? Okay.
RTX 5700 XT or RTX 2070 Super.
But and then it obviously has the ray tracing attachment, so ray tracing is also a very a very expensive add-on.
In the ray tracing, it's in the 2060 to 2070 range. So yeah, it's
still not cheap.
No, God, no. If I look up the RTX 2070 Super, hey, what do you know? It's right here. And I want to buy one. Okay, if I get a laptop with one in it, it's $15.99 or $18.99 if I get a better laptop. So just,
Good get.
It's $629 just for this graphics card.
Yeah, that's already more than I paid for the console.
Yeah.
So they are really losing money though, but I mean they're making their money back real quick.
Yeah, it's the RTX, not the GTX. Wow. Okay. Fucking $630. That's insane.
So the RTX is better than a GTX if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, they really are. By like
so I mean
15%, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you're getting down to those tiny like little bits of particle effects and shit like that, it really makes a huge difference.
the only difference is I'm not getting the max quality because I don't have a 4K monitor.
Yeah, I also don't have a 4K monitor, but I don't
I'm
have a
sitting
graphics card, so
I'm sitting at a 1080p monitor.
yeah, same. If I
But
had a 4K monitor and a 4K graphics card, honestly, the only things my computer needs is upgrades. I could use faster RAM. I can get a faster chip, and I can get a better graphics card. My motherboard is completely fine up to the newest Ryzen 9 5000 or whatever the fuck. Ryzen 9 59. Yeah, 5950X. So if I wanted to spend $900, I could get this 16-core, 32-core, thread-core desktop processor.
crazy.
But if I want the 12-core or 24-thread unlocked desktop processor, it's $569.99.
Still expensive. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, if I want this ABS Legend Gaming PC, I want to know what's in here.
So
Oh my
the
God.
other thing about the console is that it also they specifically stated whenever you open up the console, it reads, obviously it automatically reads whatever monitor you're hooked up to or whatever, TV, whatever. But they said if you have a 4K monitor with those capabilities, it will lock every game at 60 frame rate no matter what.
Okay.
So you'll always get 60 frames at 4K with maximum effects.
That's perfectly fine.
And I'm like, you know what? Don't push yourself. I don't want my console to die. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want it to blow the fuck up.
Because they had an issue with that when it came out, that until they issued the patch for it, the console was bricking itself on certain games that were already out.
Fucking hell. But locking your games at 60 FPS is probably the best move to go with anyways, except very, very slight difference in other games like Mortal Kombat 11. you don't want to lock your frame rate because all of your moves are based on frame rate.
That game actually got a PS5 upgrade about a month ago.
Yeah, well, the game's absolutely gnarly because literally they time it down. Every move is timed in your frames, how many frames it takes you to do something.
That also explains why it'll never be cross-platform for online multiplayer, because that would just be unfair.
Yeah, because somebody running a computer that can handle that game at 300 FPS is going to far outperform somebody who has to lock their system at like 35.
Or even 60
Yeah.
at that point.
So you just have more capability of playing. But everything is literally timed down. It's like this move takes 2 frames, this move takes 7 frames, this move takes...
I've also noticed that Call of Duty is a lot like that too, nowadays.
Yeah, they do that
like,
with gunshots. Gunshots I think are still hit scan, so if... No, they changed that in Call of Duty. Back in the...
Because I was 1v1ing a friend of mine and he plays on a 3090 graphics card on his PC. You know, he's got the fancy shit, right?
Yeah.
And so I was going up against him, and I'm like, bro, on my end, you didn't even peek that corner yet. And it was like a split second, and I was dead. And I was like, that just doesn't make any sense. Because on my end, I couldn't see him, but he was like, I saw you, and I'm like, well, no shit.
Yeah, Destiny does that a lot to me now. So if I want to get any upgrades, I think the first one is a better graphics card, and then after that, it's processor. But I would need large sums of money to become flowing my way. I would need to get Twitch partnership with like 700 views per stream or something. I don't know.
I also didn't realize that the i7 processor was as old as it is.
Yeah, they're at like the i9 and i10.
Because when I got my dad's old PC and I moved it, the processor that's in his is an i7 3300 or something like that. And I was like, this thing is almost 10 years old, and it has an i7?
Yeah,
I was blown away. Yeah.
3770K, I guess, and it was... No, any money spent on an i7 3770K is money better spent on a modern CPU and motherboard. A cheap Ryzen 2600 and B540 or B450 combo will provide much better performance in everything.
Well, let me read what processor this is. Hold on, I'm pulling up my device manager. I'm getting the exact model here. Okay, come on. Here it goes. Processors right there. i7 3770.
3770, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
literally what it's saying is any money spent on that would be better off getting you anything else.
Well, this was back then. Obviously, this was probably
that was good back in the day.
I'll say 10 years ago or so when this came out. This is probably like the highest end you could probably get.
Yeah, but as it is now, it's it literally says that if you get a cheap Ryzen 2600, which is what I have, and a B450 combo, which is what I've got as a motherboard. Except my motherboard isn't that cheap, and it's also upgraded to be able to withstand any Ryzen chip from the Ryzen 1 to the Ryzen 9, any of the Ryzen 9 chips that have just come out. And I've got a Ryzen 2600, and so it says a cheap Ryzen 2600 and B450 will provide better performance. Yeah, I've got a Ryzen 5 2600 6-core processor. It's got 12 processing cores technically with the way it works because it does the dual processor bit. So it's
Interesting.
12-thread processor.
Bluetooth is disabled on this PC? Why? It says I have a Bluetooth driver, but it's not available, and I'm like, what do you mean it's not available? Like
My Bluetooth on here on my computer doesn't even work. It's supposed to. It picks up that I have a Bluetooth, but it will not connect to my PlayStation controller.
Yeah, I have to wire my controllers when I play.
Yep, I hardly ever use a controller, so it's not that big a deal. Everything else is corded. I mean, fuck, I've got a cord running for one of my microphones, a cord running for my main microphone that I'm talking into now, a cord running for my phone charger right now, webcam, mouse, keyboard, everything's corded. I don't do wireless on any of that because it slows my performance.
Alright. I think I'm gonna get ready to start up my stream.
Right on, I'm actually going to cut this stream off and get ready for, start getting ready for bed and work tomorrow. So it was good having a conversation. I hope we can talk some more in the future on here.
Yeah, I won't be working Tuesdays after this week, by the way.
Oh shit. Okay. Are you gonna be working?
Because I start school on the 3rd.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
So
you might be working Fridays, but not Tuesdays.
I won't even be working Fridays.
Oh shit. So it's just weekends.
Just Saturday and Sunday.
Well, shit. I'll have to tune into your stream, tune into mine. This Discord, you have access to this server overall. Yeah. So this is my stream server. There's a few people who are on in here. So welcome to the community, bro.
I bet.
All right. You have a good night, man.
Another thing, we should play Valorant sometime.
I would have to get it, but yes, I agree.
I'd say because I've been playing comp on there and I'm really liking it right now.
Yeah, I've just been doing all my Destiny stuff, but you know, we'll look into getting Valorant and a couple of other things. So
It's I think total it's like 7.5 gigs, so it's not bad.
oh shit, yeah, I've got space for that then. But all right.
All right.
You take
But
care.
yeah. You too, man.